Hello and welcome to The Content Bite, a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Rachel Smith, a freelance journalist, copywriter, and content producer. I'm also the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and community for Aussie writers and other creatives.
Hello, and I'm Lynn Testoni. I'm a journalist and a content writer as well, and Rachel and I are your weekly co-hosts, and every week we're bringing you all kinds of tips, ideas, and some fabulous guests to help you make the most of your freelance business. Hello. How are you, Rach? What's been happening in your world?
Well, I've been really busy at Rachel's List because, as you know, we're planning a lunch club, which everybody, Lynn, is actually doing, aren't you, next week?
I am.
Yes, we're doing a lunch club on how to earn the big bucks. So if you're a gold member in the Facebook group, definitely come along to that. We've got quite a lot of people coming. So everyone wants to know
how to earn the big bucks.
Or just how to get well-paying clients. So we've been planning a bit of those. We've been planning more masterclasses. We've been looking at our content strategy, which is interesting and scary. And I'm going to be talking at a festival in June. So I can't wait for that. I think I have to buy a power suit.
Yes, I know. It's the Launceston Freelance Festival, and it looked really good, Rach. I think I'm going to come down.
Oh, great.
I'm going to come down. Looks great. Some really good speakers, and there's Tasmanian wine and cheeses and stuff. And I think it'll be really interesting. But Speaking of amazing freelancers, we have another on the podcast today. We've had so many lately, and this one definitely fits the bill of being amazing. Tell us about her.
I'd love to. Yes, we have copywriter Rashida Tayabali on the podcast today, and she is a copywriter who specializes in working with female business owners. And I've known Rashida for a long time because she's been on Rachel's List for years. I don't really know how many years, but quite a lot. Very close to the beginning, I think. She's written for our blog. She did a great piece on marketing writing, and she presented one of the most popular masterclasses that we've ever done on keywords and SEO. That's available in the toolkit if you need to know about that. And Rashida's also an indie author, and she recently published her first book, which is called Life After Ali. We're going to talk to her about all her business tips and tricks and how she has grown a successful, thriving business. So welcome, Rashida. It's really great to have you on the podcast at last. And as I was saying off air, it's something Lynn and I wanted to do for so long. So we're really glad to have you.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks, guys. I'm really happy to be here and chatting with the two of you. I think I've met you, definitely, Rachel, quite a few times at the, in real life events.
Yes.
And I'm hoping to come along to the next one.
Obviously. Oh, yes, the Christmas party. It was a bit small this year, sadly, due to COVID. Thanks, COVID. But yeah, next one might be better, hopefully.
Yeah.
So you've got a great business story, Rashida. Can we start from the beginning, though? Tell us a little bit about you and how you started freelancing and building your business.
I was actually on maternity leave from my marketing coordinator job and decided to do some freelance writing courses at the Australian Writers Centre. So it was actually my husband's idea. And he was like, well, you always wanted to write. And I thought, okay, well, I have a newborn, 4 months old. How hard can it be? So
Famous last words.
Yeah. And I thought, it's also something for me to do while I'm on maternity leave. Before I went on it, I was actually quite concerned about the supposedly, break and the gap in resumes. And I thought, well, if I ever want to go back to work, I didn't want a huge gap in my resume. And this was about 10 years ago. And I knew that employers didn't really look favorably on it. So I decided to do some writing courses. And then I started pitching parenting magazines because that's what I was going through and what I knew, and some health magazines. And to my surprise, my ideas were starting to get accepted and I got paid for it. And I remember the thrill of seeing my name, in a printed magazine and online. And I just thought, I really, really love this. But at that point, it was still something that I was doing as a hobby and something to pass the time, while my baby was small and I was waiting to get back to work. And then as the time approached for me to rejoin work, I started having second thoughts, and I just decided that, I wasn't going to do it because of, at that point, the lack of flexibility. I was being pressured to come back full time. And I didn't really want to do that. And again, my husband had a brilliant idea and he said, well, why don't you give this writing thing a try and see how you go? And pretty much I did, and I haven't looked back since. And I think that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because I was miserable in my corporate job. I hated it. I hated the early mornings and the politics and, the forced water cooler conversations. I think I was always preferred, I think, working on my own. And I think that's how I do my best work. So being a writer is the best thing ever.
How
That's
amazing.
fantastic.
And you moved like from publications to more into copywriting. And it's really interesting because you had that marketing background already. So you were sort of one step ahead of, say, the journalists who might be listening and don't have that background and are trying to get into copywriting now. You already sort of knew how it worked. Did it make it easier for you to sort of start moving into copywriting?
I think that the background knowledge was always there from uni as well. And I actually accidentally fell into copywriting. What wasn't ever something that I thought I would do. I didn't even know it was called copywriting at that point. It's just that somebody who I worked with changed jobs and reached out to me and gave me the first gig of writing 50 blogs for the company. And I thought,
goodness,
okay, 50. And I remember being in Kenya at that time on holiday and taking this call at 6 a.m. And she was there with the other team members. And she's like, will you do this for us? And I thought, okay, I'm not really sure what blogs are. I have been reading, the mummy blogs. At that time, they were huge. And this is about 10 years ago. And I thought, okay, maybe I could do something like that. And I said, yeah, I could do 50 blogs, no problem. And that's how I started copywriting. And it's only when a few years down the track, after I started getting more jobs, for website copies and staff profiles and things like that, is when I actually found out that what I was doing was copywriting. But yes, I think the background knowledge, and I had a little bit of experience even in corporate writing communications. So I think that really helped.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
One of the things I thought was fascinating is that you've made the decision to niche and work with women business owners. When was that? And what was the reason behind that decision?
So I decided to niche about 2 years ago. And I think it only happened because I had the misfortune of working with 3 clients from the same industry. And the process was so painful and stressful. And I think ultimately it was because they just didn't appreciate the value that a copywriter was adding to their businesses because of a lack of know-how. And although I tried to educate them to the best of my ability, I think they just didn't appreciate what I was doing. And at that time, somebody read my LinkedIn post and contacted me out of the blue to ask if I would write copy for her business. And she was an IQ coach and trainer who had decided to expand her business. And I thought, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And these 2 clients were running concurrently, like simultaneously to each other. And I was having the time of my life on one project and being really stressed on the other. And as soon as I finished writing website copy for that female-led business, I decided that I didn't want any more stress. And it was actually better to niche, because I actually had a good understanding of where this female client was coming from, what she was trying to do. And I think the words just flowed more easily. And I just really loved doing it. So I thought, but 8 years later, I picked my niche, and that was it.
That's so interesting, because I think it can be really nerve-wracking deciding to niche, can't it? And you can think, am I closing the door to potential income if I know I'm going to be turning people away who aren't in my niche? Or did you think, no, this is going to be the key to my business growth? I mean, what's been the result for you doing that?
I was actually a bit nervous at the beginning when I was, getting my messaging targeting this new niche that I decided that I was going to work with. And I was nervous thinking that, I'd probably not scared of other potential clients. But to be honest, niching has paid off immensely for me, in the sense that not only is the niching been quite successful in the sense that I've had the chance to work with some brilliant female business owners, but actually it's opened the doors up to all this other stuff that I thought would never happen because of the niche. So I started working more with agencies, more with different types of clients in different verticals. Actually, to my surprise, the opposite has happened with the niching, is that it's actually increased my income and projects rather than decreased it.
Wow. So tell us a bit about the types of businesses that you work for and the types of verticals you operate in.
Okay, so primarily my main niche is working with female-led businesses. So these are women who are in the growth stage of their business and they're looking to outsource their copy. And they also don't like, they've been doing it themselves, they don't like doing it, and it's taking them away from things that they'd rather do. So I support them in helping to write, I think, to write copy that really speaks to their audience, and also to help them clarify what they're offering, because a lot of them have not touched their website for years, and basically it's what they're doing now looks very different from what they were doing when they first started off. So I help really clarify their messaging, the types of services they offer, and oftentimes I'm also doing wireframing for their website. So working with the web developer in trying to make sure that whatever they want communicated is also laid out design wise. So it's very basic design, but it helps the web developer work off, and it helps the copy fit better, I find. Some of the verticals I work with, well, they're varied actually, but I work a lot with agencies now. So they as a subcontractor, or as one of the staff members. So I work with food brands, I work with payment technology, I work with logistics, really quite a few different brands. I think I wouldn't say they all come from a specific vertical, but they're quite across the board. I think the only thing I don't touch is medical, anything to do with alternative medicine, medical, and software, mainly because I just don't understand and I'm not qualified to write on it. So those are the only things that I won't do.
Yeah. Wow. And so in those verticals, mainly women-led businesses.
Yes, and also a lot of the global brands who are looking for content support. So I would probably have maybe one or two female-led businesses who I'm working with, and then the rest will all be all these work from agencies.
Yep, sort of plugging the gaps. Wow.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things I found really amazing about you, Rashida, is that you're one of those writers we love and we look at enviously, because you keep managing to blog, and you blog well on a consistent basis. How do you come up with those sort of blog topics? Do you have a particular strategy or some categories that you work with?
I would say that I think the most success I've had with blogging is actually writing about what people are talking about. So I might often come across certain things in forums or in even Facebook communities like Rachel's List, where people are talking about a specific thing they found, and I thought, okay, what can I contribute to this topic? So that's one of the places I get my blog ideas from. Another thing is what sort of specific challenges that clients face when looking for a copywriter, or even understanding what a copywriter does. So trying to address client pain points using blogs. And also, I'd say one of the little tricks that I've recently found is whenever I'm writing about a blog, I just type in the generic, the one word maybe, into this search engine called Answer the Public. I think you guys probably know about it.
Yes, we love Answer the Public.
Yeah. And what it really does, which is amazing, it spits out longer tail phrases that you can actually use as subheadings. So what I do is, for example, if I'm writing a topic on vitamin C, I'll just put in vitamin C under Australia, and then I'll look at what questions people are asking. I turn them into subheads. So I do that for writing, my own topics as well. Like, what are people actually wanting to know? And I think that quite helps with SEO.
Yeah, fantastic.
Amazing. Yeah. I know from the masterclass you did that you are very knowledgeable about SEO. And as I was saying before, it's been one of the most popular ones that we've done. So what has upskilling in SEO done for your business? And do you think that at this point, it's really a no-brainer for copywriters and journalists to add it to their skill set?
Look, I think with the fact that everything is digital now, I think, and as writers, because we are creating content which is mostly consumed online, I think knowing about SEO from that aspect is very important. So knowing, what people are searching for, how to incorporate that into your content. And on the other side of it, if you look at it from the client side, like even now with all this knowledge out there on the webs, there are a lot of businesses that don't quite know what SEO is, and they just sort of blindly trust agencies to look after, their copy or their blogs and whatnot. So I think, look, coming at it from that point of view, if you're writing content for a client and you're trying to get them to rank better, I think you need to have a good knowledge of SEO. I think they do, SEO and copywriting now go together, in my opinion. And I think if you're a writer and you're writing online content, and you're trying to help your client be found online, then I think you need to know at least the basics of SEO and keep yourself educated on it, because SEO also changes a fair bit. Perhaps not daily, but definitely there are lots of new things and algorithms and all that come up that affect how content is then pulled out by Google and other search engines. So I think you can't ignore SEO as a writer. You really, really need to know. And actually, it's pretty interesting if you get down to it. Like, it's not something too techy where a layperson cannot understand it, but the effects of applying that to client work is actually amazing. And these days you cannot write website copy without keywords. You need to know how to find keywords and how to place them in the right places in the copy, so that the client gets a good chance of ranking and getting business from it.
What's your favorite keyword tool that you use?
I actually use a number of keyword tools because I like to sort of make sure I'm on the right track. But I'd say my favorite is Google Keyword Planner, also because it's free and it actually gives you a lot more phrases and I think a lot more timely and relevant data compared to the other tools. Another one I like is Keyword Finder is pretty good, and Uber Suggest is decent. So I'd say I'd probably look at all these three when I'm looking for keywords.
Interesting.
So where do you find your clients? What sort of strategies have worked for you to find these clients?
The strategy that's made the biggest difference to my business is being active on social media and in online communities. I think really putting yourself out there on social media, and that's not to say I enjoy putting my face out there. I really don't.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone does.
No.
It's just weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really weird, and sometimes it feels like you're actually talking to no one. But I think being visible on social media has really paid off, and I've targeted mainly two platforms, which is Instagram and LinkedIn. And I think a lot of my work has come from there, and people see my posts, and they remember me, or then they call me up and say, oh, we saw this on LinkedIn, and then they go to my website from there. I think definitely social media has worked wonders for my business, I'd say.
I know you mentioned to me a while ago that you were surprised you'd had good results and good leads from Instagram for some time, and you were saying this was the biggest kind of source of leads for you for some time. And so talk us through how you used Instagram to find those clients and why you think it worked well for you. Perhaps it's the women-led business thing, or you might have other ideas on why it did work.
So see, I was Instagram shy for quite a long time. I always thought, well, I really don't want my life on display, but it's only when I think it sort of pivoted to start becoming a business tool as well, is then when I thought, okay, and at the same time I niched. So I thought, well, where does my audience hang out? And actually they're all on Instagram. So I started off by being, I think, as personable and as friendly as I could be, and professional as well. So I started sharing some useful content, not just snaps of my feet or my lunch or usual. I do enjoy those though, Rachel. They make me very envious. As you had time to eat such gorgeous lunches, I really envy you.
I know, but I do share a lot of snaps of my feet now that you come to mention it. Oh dear. I'll have to look into that strategy too. Anyway.
Continue.
Yeah, no, it's only because I'm quite a private person, I think, and I don't like and actually, to be honest, I just went into Instagram thinking, and experimenting, deciding, okay, what content will work, and I just started doing different things. And I think because I was trying to share useful content and putting my work out there, I think has really helped, because I think a lot of people don't use Instagram as like a portfolio showcase, but I think that really works well because I make little videos showing a new client launch, for example, or I might, like yesterday I shared a blog about what to do if you're thinking about launching a website, and about 5 minutes later I got an inquiry from someone in the network saying that we'll be launching this festival later this year, will you be interested in helping us write? And I thought, okay, that's proved useful to someone. So I think even on Instagram, sharing useful content, but I think in a much more softer, much more conversational way, rather than LinkedIn, where you're all very professional and formal and things like that. So I think that's worked quite well. Now, I'd love to say I have a pretty feed, but I'm too random to do that. So I don't. But I did have some social media templates designed by a graphic designer, and that's what I keep rotating on on different. That sort of has my branding colors, and I think because Instagram is so visually oriented, like I think if you're on Insta, get your branding right, get it recognizable, so that every time a post comes up, somebody will know that that's from you. So I do all these little, tricks and things. I sometimes use hashtags, sometimes I don't, just to see what's going to happen. So I don't take it too seriously. I just have fun with it, and then I just take note of which content has worked and what I should be likely to repeat again.
Mm-hmm. And did you find that leads were approaching you like in Instagram or going to your website?
No, they were approaching me in my DMs actually. And these are also people that I had followed and commented on their posts. So I think the engagement is a big part of it too. Like you can't, I think because they already knew me, I was commenting on their stuff, and I guess the trust level was there. So then they would reach out.
Yeah. So you weren't a stranger.
Yeah, not a stranger. I think interacting on social media is where the gold is at.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
so interesting. I agree.
Our listeners are always really interested in how other freelancers price their products. I mean, the pricing is always a big thing. So what works for you, and has that sort of your pricing model changed over the years?
I've always worked with project-based pricing. So initially, I think when I've never really worked to an hourly rate, only because I'm afraid to find out how dreadfully slow I am, and I don't want the pressure of keeping one eye on the clock and thinking, oh my God, it's half an hour, I've lost this many dollars and I've not typed a single word. So I do project-based pricing, and that's always been the case right from the beginning. I mean, whereas a freelance writer, features writer, you get paid a flat rate anyway. So you sort of learn how to efficiently work with that rate.
Yeah.
And I find normally project-based pricing is really good for showing clients the value of what you provide. So if you're giving them a figure and you're showing them all the inclusions in there, I think that works quite well rather than an hourly rate. And plus, there's no bill shocks, which is what I tell my clients, that what I quote you is what you pay. There's no more to pay after, it's just whatever I quote you is what's there to pay.
So you've just published your first novel, as we mentioned earlier, Life After Ali, which I read and loved. Was that sort of a military operation, working and writing your book and trying to fit family and kids and everything in between? Because I know you have young kids, and I know that your husband does travel as well, quite a bit, doesn't he? So how do you do it? Are you very organized, or do you just somehow fit it all in?
Okay, I would like to clarify up front and say that it started off with a moment of insanity that lasted 3 years.
I would say probably most authors would agree with that.
Yeah. So I started writing Life After Ali about 3 years ago, and I wouldn't say I was very organized. I do what you call fitting writing around the cracks of your life, which is a quote by another writer called Irma Gold. And of course, she's got young kids as well. So that's what she does. And that's what I do, which is, grab half an hour there and an hour there. And I would say that's the novel that got written after hours, after everyone went to bed, because that's the only time I could write without somebody wanting something from me. So I would love to be a sort of disciplined writer who sits every day and writes for 2 hours straight, but unfortunately that's just not my reality. So I fit it around the cracks of my life, basically.
I love that though. Aren't we all doing that to some degree in a way?
Yeah.
Especially with those passion projects that are really important to us, but there just is like, how do you find the time for them? And the time is in the cracks of your life,
that's exactly it. And a lot of the times I actually wrote the novel on my phone at football training sessions with my son. So he would be at soccer for 6 to 8 p.m. every twice a week, and that's how I wrote most words on my phone.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I did that when I finished my master's. I did most of mine at violin lessons and at piano lessons, and somewhere sitting on a cold corner somewhere. It's amazing what you can do. Yeah. What sort of systems and processes do you have that help you grow the business? How does that work for you?
Okay, so there's a few things that I do on a daily and every other day basis. So one's definitely posting regularly on social media. And what I've also discovered is a nifty trick is to post something on LinkedIn one day and then sort of tweak it a little bit and use a different graphic for Instagram the next day, so that I'm not posting the same things across both channels on the same day. So I do that. I have a to-do list on which I try and keep it down to 3 things only, just so I know that if I've done these 3 things, then actually I've progressed, in business and with client work. And I try and do creative writing before client work, which is not generally how most writers do it. Like they'll wait to finish all the client work and then do creative writing. But honestly, I get a lot more done if I do that first, even if it's just half an hour or 25 minutes. So I'll do that first, maybe get half a chapter out and then start my client work. And I think the last thing I probably do is I try and allocate time to personal development. So whether that's learning more about copywriting or even UX design or something that's related to my work, because I find that those little nuggets of gold really come in handy when you're talking to clients and trying to work out project scope and all of that. So I try and do those few things on a daily basis.
I love that. I love that tip. That's really important. And I think can get so overwhelming, the thought of I have to upskill and I have to find out about that and I have to do this course, and you end up doing none of it because it's just too overwhelming. But if you do a little bit at a time or every few days, you can actually pick up a lot.
Yeah.
We've talked about your favorite SEO or keyword finding tools, but we always ask our guests for their favorite tools of the trade. So what are the ones that, you would be lost without? They could be paid or unpaid, really.
Okay, so I have to put it out front that I'm a total Google geek. So all the Android and Google stuff is I just go wild about. But my main my main tech stuff would be my Google Calendar, where I put in all the client deadlines and things like this podcast interview. Because really, if it's not in my calendar, I just simply cannot remember it.
Yeah.
Google Drive is really good for working on different machines and for different clients. So what I started doing with my copywriting clients was, in order to save time on back and forth emails, I generally create a shared Google Drive folder and then allocate it to each client, and then everyone just uploads whatever they need me to look at in that one place. So at this way, emails don't get lost and things don't get, they don't fall through the cracks. Another thing I really love, which is a tool called Draftium for wireframing. Because I find that it really helps the copy flow so much better, and it stops me overwriting. Because sometimes you end up writing chunks of text and then it doesn't fit properly on the web page. But this way, if it's laid out in the wireframe, then it's easier to make revisions and all of that. Google Docs is another one, because it allows me to work pretty much from my desktop to my laptop. And I love Calendly. Which is you can get the free version to have on your website for clients to book in appointments. This also saves on multiple back and forths with the client about what time they're available, what time you're available, and all of those things.
Yeah, I use Calendly. It's great.
It really cuts down on so much back and forth. And my last one would definitely be, I think, paid writers groups like Rachel's List. Like, I find them honestly really invaluable in that it doesn't make me feel alone in what I'm trying to do. And if there's anything that I'm struggling with, I've got probably 300 writers to ask, and somebody will have been through what I'm going through. So I think those things I could not live without the ones that I've listed.
Yeah, I definitely think that's something that wasn't there when I started freelancing. That is actually why Rachel's List started, because I was so lonely. and I used to like kind of drag a few writers to lunch just so you could have a bit of that sounding board and stuff. And now there's so many of those groups out there, and it is really good. You can just find the one that's right for you, or multiple ones that are right for you.
Yeah. And also I find with those, like with Rachel's List, for example, I mean, there's certain things that only other writers get. Like, I can try and talk to my husband about it, but he's just a bit like, okay, not quite sure what you want me to say. But like, other writers just get it. And you can whinge about a client, or you can whinge about anything, and they get it because they've been through it and they're going through it. So it's nice to have that that sort of camaraderie in the group and
Absolutely.
understanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is something lovely about a community, I think. Yeah. We all understand each other.
Yeah.
So do you have like some advice to other freelancers? Because we do get a lot of people who are starting a business, or maybe they're thinking of leaving a full-time job and freelancing. And I guess things about, finding clients and how to grow and how to maintain that steady cash flow, because I think that's a big thing for writers too, or for freelancers.
Okay, so I think my top 3 pieces of advice for anyone wanting to become a freelancer is treat your business like a business right from the beginning. Set proper rates, like don't work for lower rates just because you think you're a beginner. Have systems and processes in place, like have a onboarding process for new clients, have a dedicated day for marketing, all of those things that make it an actual business. I think what my mistake had been earlier on was treating it like a hobby for quite a few years, and I think that affected how much money I could earn from my business. So that's definitely my first tips. Treat it like a proper business. Invest in yourself, invest in personal development, join writers groups, so that you get to know as well what other people are doing and get help and support for when you need it. Second tip would be definitely know your value and how much you're worth, basically, and set the right prices from the beginning. Decide, are you going to work per hour, or are you going to work per project? And don't set low rates because you feel like you don't know everything there is to know. So don't discount previous experience and jobs that you may have done for your employer. I think that the not setting rates is what makes a lot of people give up on freelancing, because they feel that, it's not helping me pay my bills, so it's not viable. But actually it all comes down to what you charge. And like I said, the third one is don't go it alone. Seek out a writers community like Rachel's List, where you feel comfortable, you're happy to interact and build relationships with other writers, because I think ultimately that's where some of your work will come from. So the more well-known you are, and the better well-connected you are online. Now, online is where it's all at. I think that'll be really good, because being a freelancer doesn't need to be a solo pursuit. I think the more community-minded you are, the better it's going to be for your business.
Yeah, I agree with that. So what's coming up next for you? Have you got a sequel in the works, or are you taking your business in another direction? What's new?
Well, I'm actually writing a second book at the moment, and I actually had written about 7 chapters, which I decided to scrap just 2 days ago.
Oh no! We're asking you that question at the wrong time.
Because I just wasn't feeling the story, and I think because I tackled such a serious topic for my first book, I'd like to do something a bit lighthearted for the second one. So in just summary, it's just about a mom who gets fed up of everything and sets out to find herself. So that's what the central theme of the book is. Now I'm getting to know the characters now, and so let's just see where they take me.
Yeah. Nice. Is the voice of experience in there, Rashida? Have you booked a hotel room for yourself just for a night away?
Oh no, I wish. No, my husband's away, so now I'm holding down the fort on my own for a few weeks. But hopefully once he comes back, I would like to go somewhere where no one speaks to me and I'm not required to speak to anyone.
We all want that. I want that.
Lovely.
It does. Gosh.
Wow, so much to digest.
It's been amazing talking to you.
Thank you so much, Rashida, for coming on the podcast and sharing your journey. It's lovely. Oh, journey is such a cliche. Sorry about that. But I really loved hearing all the things you've done. It's such an interesting idea, and I love your niche. It's really thoughtful, and I think that people might get quite inspired by it.
Yeah, me too.
Lots of great tips. Yeah. So where can listeners find out and connect with you? Obviously Instagram and LinkedIn, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, definitely very active on Instagram and LinkedIn. So I have the same handle for both. It's Rashida Tayabali Writer. And you can check out my website, rashidatayabali.com.au. And that's it. I try and not be found in any other place online apart from those 3.
So no bikini shots on some, Facebook account that you've forgotten about.
Oh, good.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Rashida. It's just been lovely to have you on, as I was fully expecting. We were both looking forward to this. And thank you everyone for listening. That brings us to the end of the episode. But don't forget to check your iTunes app for the show notes, including links to Rashida's website and her socials so you can connect with her. And also the fantastic masterclass that she's done for us and the blog post that she's done for us as well, which are both well worth checking out. So thank you again, Rashida, and thank you everyone for listening. And we will see you next week, won't we?
We will. Okay.
Will we?
Thanks.
Will we?
Well,
Are we
hopefully.
breaking? Are we having
might
a break?
have a break.
We might be having a break soon, but
We'll see.
we'll negotiate that.
Off air. Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.